Hello, this is Cory, Edmund, Endrulat of Nature is the Answer, the movement, the message, the mission, so we could all change the world, one action, one person at a time. Indeed, we are one person ourselves, and we could commit many actions, but we take actions one by one, and we speak to people one-on-one, even if we are in an audience where we have a podcast such as this. There is still the transmission of ideas one-on-one. Even if we are all connected as humanity as one, we are still having this individual relationship because it is reflected upon the macrocosm and the microcosm anyways. Sometimes I like to do podcasts because it allows me to walk around and be in different environments and express some of the ideas and different concerns or different things that pop up in my mind so I can record right on the spot. And of course, there's always so much to talk about in the world. I'm really proud to see how my live streaming is going. If you don't know how that is and you don't know what it is, go to twitch.tv/KookoonutTV, KOOKOONUT TV, or go to the YouTube channel as well, where you can see many clips from those live streams spelled the same exact way with no spaces in between. Now you might notice one on YouTube that says Coconut TV with a space in between, and I own that one too. In fact, that was my gaming channel before I got into this channel. This channel is going to remain to have a lot more professional content, whereas the Twitch streaming will allow me to really also unwind and deliver a variety of content within 3-hour spans for each show that I have also streaming on the One Great Work Network.com. A lot to see that's been happening, a lot of great things. Mark Passio's Natural Law documentary is out, and it'll be very cool. I'll be also watching it on stream. So join us for that, and if you miss it also, you could probably just watch the video on the YouTube as well. Now, there is plenty to talk about, of course, in the world that we live in, but what I want to first start off with is the fact that I'm not a fan of talking about the news, and I don't think anybody should, just as I don't think anybody should be a fan or really like talking about politics. It's more of just something. It's like, oh, here's my identity, this is where I belong, here's the sports team that I promote. It's not, all that great. And then even talking among ideas of anarchy, people think this is a whole nother state of condition, and that we think this way and we think another way, and categorizing themselves part of this club and another person categorizing themselves with another club. I mean, I look at everybody as human beings and equal, and I don't see anything more of it. The movement is a way just to simply amplify voices and ideas, and that's it. And it's not also to join some sort of club, but to say, hey, let's respect what's above. Let's respect all that we ever had, and let's respect what is. That is truth. That is nature. And that is reality. That is realism. That is transcendentalism. That is every ism, right? Including all the isms that people don't like. Capitalism, socialism, whatever you have. There's truths to be found in everything if you can understand it enough. If you can have a perspective and not just the evidence, as my video talks about how perspective is actually somewhat more important than evidence, really, for all you need as evidence. And, this gives also way into the idea that conversation is ultimately what changes things. It's what ultimately changes the minds and brings in the most important information, because the truths are all present, and therefore to be seen with our eyes or felt with our senses ultimately, and thus transcoded into thoughts, into words, into actions. Okay, that is conversation, not reporting the news and putting on a teleprompter and putting it unnecessarily on a piece of material, right? And this is the spiritual deliverance, the spiritual messaging, that we have this ability as spiritual human beings. May you see it. I perhaps am a spiritual person to say, well, I am not a fan of the news, but I don't think I'm the only one. And I think if you had a choice between that and having fun, which one would you choose? And then you say, well, recovering the news is having fun for you. If that's fun for you, I mean, it's kind of sad to me. I'm sorry. But there's many ways we can have fun without doing those things. And those things really just get in the way of us having fun. And it's unfortunate, because I get in this situation where it's like, do I sit back and just have fun and let everything happen on its own? Or do I take action so we can have fun. So you can get stuck in these confusion mindsets, and that's why I put out so many different podcasts, but I don't always publish them on my YouTube channel either, because I think about it. I'm like, I don't know if I should put this out there. I could put out everything, sure, but the point is that I'm confused too, because of the confused world we live in. We're all confused despite what we say that we know. And we gather our own assurance by saying that we know something because everyone else doesn't. And we cast these shadows and these egos and projections and all these different things happening. All these different things. But ultimately, if you express from the heart and you have fun, that is what matters. But as long as you're able to do those things and you always uphold those things. So that's going to be my driving thing behind everything I do. If I start something up and I say I'm not doing this anymore, it's because I listened to my intuition and I didn't get crowded by certain, expectations. And I am to deliver a message as I see it's important, and a lot of people see the message as important. They see the mission as important. But they cannot discount themselves, their own environments, their families, everything else. There's a lot into this. So now that that's all out of the way, I want to talk about something that's also quite important. And is that numbers actually rule the world. I always say, okay, well, nature is the answer. Nature is the root to everything. It is. Because technically nature rules the world, right? Nothing can rule the world but nature, because nature is the world. The world runs the world. I mean, how much more sense could you make of it? This is where we get to truth, which is what is, which is why when we say this does this, we're making a perspective. We're making a faulty, hard to understand phenomena, especially in a world where there's many different perspectives. But ultimately, the world runs the world. Nature runs the world, right? It's just another word for the world. And numbers, however, are ruling the world right now. Okay, that's not to say nature isn't. It still is. Numbers are still abundant, just as harmonies are. Music is. Technology is. Electricity is. Everything we think is unnatural may have a lot of roots in the natural for it was able to come about. You could look at my video titled The Nature Dynamic and understanding what is natural versus unnatural and sort of how that dynamic plays out in the world today. It's very, very important. It's just the most important thing to understand. So where do numbers fit into all this? Is it natural? Is it unnatural? Well, it follows the same nature ultimately as words. And I've spoken about words many times on my channel. Right? It's a form of expression, a form of communication. Ultimately, that's its base nature. That's what people use it for. So there's obviously intention behind it, and that matters ultimately, of course. But numbers are ruling the world. When you look at numbers of people, it takes numbers of people to create a change in the world. There's required numbers of people to move something. Numbers of people is always required. So in this process of change for truth, numbers of people is required. And there's numbers when it comes to money. There's numbers when it comes to time. And people grow accustomed to using time since it's everywhere. And so time runs their life. It rules the world because it's running everybody's life, And it's very easy to control people if you control the money and people are being controlled by money. And then because they're being controlled by money, a physical thing, they don't always necessarily correlate it to the person who is controlling the money, right? They can be hidden for all we know. People may not even know who they are. But that is what's ultimately in control. It's the numbers of pieces of paper, whether it be the Constitution or the billions of papers that we print and trees that we burn and destroy every day for government documents. My goodness, people want to talk about saving the environment. Just look at what the government does on a day-to-day basis, right? And people know, would say, oh, well, you're promoting nature is the answer. It's anti-government. Okay, yeah, well, it's anti-mind control. It's anti authority being vested in certain individuals, anti, arcanism, where anybody can just be in control of somebody else and say, I'm your master now. This is nonsense. Or somebody just goes on your land and says, this is my land now, and you have no choice but to obey. I mean, there's no logic behind that, guys. And I don't know who finds it logical to say, well, we should be mandated, guys. Oh my gosh, we need to mandate this, we need to mandate that, when it is a clear and direct violation of natural law and simple morality. But oh, morality is subjective, it doesn't matter. So I guess you just don't care. That's what you're saying. I don't care about other people. I want my will imposed upon them. It's absolute nonsense, and yet I see it in different places. If I look for it, there's these people promoting socialism. Now, not to say there isn't truth to be found in there, but socialism, by the definition to which I'm using right now, is people being handed money, and because they're being handed money, they're used to it. They want more of it. And that is the driving force behind, their ideology, and thinking, well, the money's created by the government anyway, so why not just hand it to more people? It's going to make the world a better place. I mean, this is just, it's absolute idiocracy. I don't know what more to say, but stealing from someone else to make someone else's day better. It's like, okay, so it's harm someone else to make yourself feel better. Sort of survivalistic Darwinism, social Darwinism, where it's self-determinism, it's Satanism, ultimately. And whether someone wants to generalize about the statements that I'm saying and saying, oh my gosh, this is harsh, or it doesn't have any sense in reality, I mean, think and look into the concepts that I'm bringing up to you. Morality, could you define it? Objectivity. You say there is no objectivity, then how come there is a word called objectivity? Oh, I guess then you don't believe in truth, because truth isn't objective, according to that logic. So it's just, you can go down every mental rabbit hole, and I want to just create conversations with people and have fun, because people are insane, and we have to acknowledge that. And you can go off the rails at this point, because that is where the world is heading. And it's going to be looking for people to go off the rails. Somehow that's like sort of a relief for people. Oh my gosh, I got to rant about what's going on in the world and how everything's bad. I need to go over the news. Somehow, I don't know why that's important, but because I'm mad. And I need to get it out somehow. Or you can have fun, and you can completely clear your mind from all that. But then you're saying, oh, well, I'm not contributing to anything then. Okay, well, again, could you reach new people? Could we reach new people? And this is the question where, like I said, I am not claiming to know the answers, whether it come to the knowledge or even the action. The action here relies on you. The movement relies on you. I say this all the time. I don't know how exactly we need to build this movement, but I do know that the movement is necessary. Just as I don't know exactly how to bring natural law to people, but natural law is necessary. Nature is necessary. How do I bring that to people? It's already present for people. These truths are already present for people. And you say, well, time and experience and awareness. But that's where I say and come in with presence. Presence. There needs to be the presence of this knowledge in different places for people to see as an option, as an alternative, as something they see, because it is something that they can relate to, something that if they do study for themselves, they'll find great value in it, and then more people will be speaking about it as we have been growing. Do I see that we're going to make history? Do I see that what we will be doing is ultimately a contribution to mankind? Of course. Do I let that get to my head? No. But that is what it is, ultimately. I mean, what can happen, right? What can happen to the world? You have to ask yourself, are people going to go insane? Is this scenario going to line up? And, people are going to debate all day about these little different topics. And ultimately, there's actions that are still untaken, and there's actions on my website, the movement's website, that are untaken. And so I can't expect anything to change. I really can't. Doesn't matter what the heck we talk about. If we can't even do it within our own communities, if people can't even have fun within their own communities, inspire other people, or be a positive light, a positive energy, then what law of attraction are you following? You got me? And that's why I laugh around. That's why I take it as a joke, and I'm able to laugh at stupid things and anything ultimately, and sometimes say stupid things, but that's because I'm human. So, like, that's just who I am, right? Numbers rule the world. I don't look at the number of how long this podcast's going to take or how many people are going to think and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And, oh, I got to network with this guy because he's got tons of people following him. It's like, no. None of that matters. It's numbers, man. It's numbers. What I look at is ideas. I look at impact. I look at just potential. I look at, oh my gosh, look at how much fun we can have if we can make this happen. We can get so many conversations going. That would be fun. That's what I look at. I'm not kidding you. You know? It's like, oh my gosh, I get to talk to this person. That's fun. Like, oh, I get to challenge my brain. That's fun. I get to make fun of myself or hang out with friends. That's fun. I get to laugh at these guys because they're talking about communism, socialism, teaching it, and they don't even see passion about it. They're just teaching it. And it's like, that's funny to me. And that's fun because the word fun isn't funny. I mean, am I going insane? I don't know. I don't know. I just, like I said, I gotta take a joke once in a while, and you can get all caught up saying, oh my gosh, man, I need to edit this, I need to go online, but at the end of the day, you kind of just gotta also flow with it, and oh my gosh, the job's gotta be devouring my life, I need to make sure I do it, I can make it, but, how much do you want to provide for yourself? How much can you be content with what you have currently? What is your level of contentedness here? We are very much as human beings prone to different faults and subjectivities, but that doesn't mean that we can't try to align ourselves to the objectivities that we can come to recognize and understand in nature. That's why nature is the answer and you are at question. Okay? You're always going to be at question. I don't think you should ever be the answer, because if you were the answer, then government's the answer. You know everything. You're God. You're perfect. No, that's wrong. Nature is probably the closest thing to perfect that we'll ever know, because that is the only thing that we can ever know to the highest extremes, my good sirs, my good friends, my good madams. I love what we've built as a community. It's like, I look at this and I'm like, do I want to create controversy? Do I want to get famous? And it's like, no, I kind of don't. Because I've met so many cool people. I'm in a community of cool people. Why do I want to go find people and cause drama and controversy and people start hating on each other? Why do I want to be a source of that? But also I could be a source of love. I can drive things in different directions. Why do I fear that as a possibility? Why do I have expectations of myself? Why do I judge myself? Right? And you can tell I'm projecting here, because I literally am, I'm telling you. Okay? But these are ideas that we all have, and I know that we do. You're never alone on anything either. See? So, I play with words. I play with concepts. That's what I do. It's what the inventor in me do. That's what the creator does in me. And live streaming is a way of experimentation, for different ideas and different concepts. For sure. But I can't feel limited to say I need to edit this thing, because I'm doing 3-hour shows, 6-hour stuff. I can't feel limited by that. So I don't know how much content I'll be putting out on this channel, but I'll be putting out a lot of content on the stream channel, the stream YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to that if you haven't already. I'll try to get a sync up on library as well. I like how I'm telling you what I'm going to do, even though that's irrelevant, but, I speak my mind. That's how I run things. So, regardless, without further ado, I wish you good luck with everything that you always do. I love you, I love the world, and don't ever forget that. I'm always open to collaborations. We can make anything work if we put our minds to it. I seek to align to people, not just ideas, not just to the truth, but people, to understand where they come from, and to help deliver their message as well. as an inventor, which I think we all are at heart, and spiritual as we all are and seek to invoke, and that creativity that we all have and simply need to invoke in different ways, we need to go with that and never doubt our intuition. Always, always trust it, and let it bring us to wherever it must. For if your heart speaks of something, you cannot deny what the heart truly wants. That is a must. That is a must. That's not to say that the heart is correct, but it should not be ignored. That's one thing for sure. Okay? And to say that the heart is quote unquote correct, well, that's another story. But indeed, trust your heart. Go with it. Go with it. See where it brings you. For either way, you'll learn something. Either way, you'll always learn anything, no matter what path you take on this life. And if you choose to take different paths like I have when it comes to experimenting with podcasts or videos or presentations, joining a network or live streaming a show, talking to new people, doing in real life events, starting in real life meetings, it's experimentation, and it's required for any scientific process. I don't expect anything to be successful. Do I try my best? Yes. But everybody should try their best. That doesn't mean I'm trying to achieve something. But are we trying to achieve something? Yeah. So, you can put yourself in mental loops, okay? Not just other people. You put yourself in mental loops. And also by teaching other people, you learn for yourself. I mean, there's ironies to be found in everything, and like I say all the time, that's where you'll learn the most. That's where you'll learn the most. That's where unnatural law comes from when learning natural law. That's where the night comes in, when everybody thinks they should be, awake and always doing things during the day. So there's purpose to everything, and none shall go ignored. And creativity is to be found in the difference that is present, and keeping that difference. I might have a slight addiction to as a nonconformist for most of my life, but I need to also realize that there's time to reflect, there's time to be conscious, and sometimes even speaking as such this can be such a way to help ourselves become conscious. Speak out loud, speak to yourself, speak to others, have them ask you questions. There's many ways you can do this, my friends. Many ways you can speak. And most ways you can speak are not through word of mouth. So, thank you very much. And that tells you much about conversation. When Mark Passio says natural law spread word of mouth, when Larkin Rose says conversation is the solution, and that, use your words, that should tell you much. Okay? Because that tells you that there's many ways we can do this, even if words are powerful. Words are just one expression of the senses, and many senses will come into tuition in the coming years, in the coming world. That's not to say that we're not going to be numbed out, or we're going to lose some sense of that, going back to the idea of denature. But there will indeed be a resurgence in senses if you choose to use it, and continue to use it, and continue to use it. And never burn yourself out, because that's what they want. Never put yourself in traumatic situations, because that's what they want. Never put yourself in an addiction phase, because that's what they want. And by they want, I mean they use. They know. They don't care. They surpass. This is the very nature to which they stand is power. Power is everything for them. And power is nothing to me. Nothing. Because when you trust nature is the answer, power is invested in the world. Power is there. And you don't need any power, because that is where power is, and it belongs to all of us. and it always will be there. So you harmonize with that, and, not to say go with the flow, but you trust the process as long as you do know that you are doing your best, like I said, to do your part. But don't stress yourself out. And find ways to keep yourself content. Like I said, seek that intuition, be content, keep doing what you're doing, and have fun. Those are the main messages of this podcast. Don't forget that don't let numbers rule your world. It's probably kind of hard, I would imagine. But could you do it? Could you set up reminders, so that way, technically your life is ran by time, but it isn't? Could you go out in nature when you say that you can't? You definitely can, when you find different ways to do so. Can you find ways to educate people, or to start up something to educate people? When you say you can't, can you? Doing it perhaps while you're doing something else. Doing it on your free time in a creative pursuit. I just am here to deliver ideas because, like I said, ideas is everything. Thank you for listening. This is Cory, Edmund, Endrulat. If I have ideas, I'm sure you can too. And you can come up with even better ideas than me, especially since you are the one watching me, and I can only do so much to watch myself. Thank you.